Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Block. This is our weekly series where we're going to talk about knives, we're going to talk about F sharp, we're going to talk about your kitchen, and I'm very excited on this very first episode to be joined by one of the founders of FN Sharp, Matthew. Matthew, welcome to Behind the Block.
Let's just go with Matt.
Too formal for you? Look, Behind the Block is a formal set. There's Oprah, Ellen, Behind the Block. Not necessarily an Ellen.
Alright,
So let's talk knives, man.
let's do it.
Now, as we talk about FN Sharp, as we tell people about it, one of the big points is, and I think the perfect place to start is with the steel itself, because what defines a knife better than its actual materials?
Yeah, that's the difference between good and bad. Right?
Absolutely. So we went with VG10. Can you tell me why, Matt? Why?
Well, VG10 is a stainless steel, so we wanted to go with a stainless steel because we believe that kitchen knives are a little easier to use whenever you don't have to worry about steels corroding or acids attacking the finish of the steel. So we wanted to use a stainless steel, and the stainless steel that we think is best is VG10. It's hard, but not too hard. It's durable, but it still retains a really good edge.
So why would a knife be too hard? Because in my mind, like, how could a knife possibly be too hard?
Yes,
if I were to slice through a pumpkin,
yeah,
I would want a hard knife.
It's a good question. The difference between a hard knife and a durable knife is how well the edge maintains its sharpness. So you want a knife that holds its edge. You want a knife that when you reach for it out of the block, that it can cut and cut smoothly. But you also want a knife that doesn't chip and crack, which can happen if you get an edge that's too hard. It'll be incredibly sharp. Think of a razor.
Okay.
A razor is very thin, very sharp, also very hard. So when you stress that edge, you can get minor chipping, cracking, and that's never good.
So it becomes more brittle, essentially.
It becomes brittle. Not only that, but when you start talking about cracking and chipping, you start introducing the possibility of something called stress corrosion cracking. And because we're dealing with high acidic environments, cutting tomatoes, cutting lemons, cutting citrus fruits, that acid that's in those fruits can attack the steel, the carbon elements of the steel, and start to cause further cracking and stress chipping. You can actually have tips breaking off, things of that nature.
So the nice thing about this steel is that unlike other high-end knives, you don't have to worry about what you're cutting. It's fine.
Yeah, essentially, it's a very easy to live with steel. You can, you can bang it around and it's not going to break. For instance, like if you take some of the hardest materials in the kitchen, ceramic knives became very popular at one point. Those are very, very hard. So it's difficult. The edge is very sharp, but they're so hard that if you strike it on a cutting board, you can chip the knife, break it in half.
Now look, you're the knife expert, but I think a knife should be able to touch a cutting board without exploding into
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the idea. You want to have it hard enough to hold an edge, but soft enough that it doesn't break.
Now I know it took a long time to actually find VG10.
Yes.
In amounts that we could actually use.
It's incredibly difficult to have the volume that we require in VG10. You can get it in small allotments. It's not too bad. But whenever you start talking about thousands upon thousands of knives, it's a difficult material to obtain because the wait times are very long. I mean, you can get into 12 months, 18 months just for the supply. So it's difficult. The supply chain is it's very, very difficult to manage. So we found it, and we're very happy about that.
Nice. Now, that's the blade. That's the VG10.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the other part of the knife, which is, of course, the handle.
Yeah,
There's a lot of parts of the knife.
Yeah.
And we went with G10 on the handles. And if you notice, a little different than Japanese knives. Japanese knives, the handle is always very hexagonal.
Tends to be octagonal, hexagonal. They've got a lot of angles that they like to impart on their handles. I think that's more just tradition than anything. I don't really know that there's a function to that. You also see a lot of different handle materials that are more natural handle materials. When you get into the natural handle materials, let's say for instance a birch, those are typically untreated. And the great part about those is that because they're untreated, they have kind of a rough texture to them. So you've got a good purchase whenever you grab them. If your hands are a little slippery, if you've been dealing with a fish or something,
mm-hmm.
You're talking about Japanese cuisine.
Creates like a natural friction.
Exactly. So you the knife stays in your hand more readily than a very smoothly polished handle. However, the problem becomes that in that natural material, you now have an additional level of care that you have to impart on that knife. So if you've got a natural material, it's going to absorb oils, it's going to absorb blood, it's going to absorb water, and when it starts to absorb those materials, they stay within. They can stay within the handle material. When you have that happen, you've got swelling, dimensional changes, and in the case of a lot of Japanese knives where the blade tang goes directly into the handle, a lot of material can build up in there, and then you get additional corrosion down within inside of the handle. So we didn't want any of that. We wanted to build a knife that, again, goes back to ease of maintenance. This is a knife that you can live with. This is a knife that you can cut your food, prepare your meal, and leave it in the sink if you so choose.
Right.
And a lot of knives you can't do that with, especially when we're talking about natural material for the handle.
So then we went away from the natural materials, we went with G10.
Yes.
Explain to me a little bit about what G10 is.
G10 is a very hard resin material. It's made from two things predominantly. It's a resin cast, so think of it like a very, very strong glue or an epoxy. And it's made in layers, so you've got layers of fiberglass material and then a layer of resin. More fiber, more resin, more fiber, more resin.
Oh, okay.
You build it up, stack it up, and then what we do is we have a CNC machine, and we're actually cutting away
Oh, well, the
the
excess. Okay.
and then we're forming this belly or this organic shape that you've got, because you see that it's 3 dimensions, so we don't have any flat surfaces on our handle. So it just, in my mind, it gives you a more comfortable handle, more comfortable feel. That palm swell really fits nicely in the hand.
Yeah, that's very nice. These knives will not explode on a cutting board or they're shooting out of your hand while using it.
Yeah. And not only that, but when we're talking about the handle material, you can see that it's very very closely formed to the metal. So there are no gaps or grooves for liquids to find their way.
Yeah,
for bacteria to grow and that kind of thing.
Well, look, I have to ask you, Matt, are you super excited for Behind the Block and to answer our customers' questions about knives?
Of course.
Excellent. So look, let us know what you want to talk about. Look, we're going to talk about the service, we're going to talk about the knives, we're going to talk about the other lines of knives we have coming down the line, but we want to also know what you guys have questions about, because knife can be a mysterious place.
And if I can't answer it, Steve will.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.